Guys, Christmas has come early for me, really early. So I have just sat enjoying a coffee. I've had a message come through to say MotoGP have sorted me another press bike out, and I've got it for, well, till after Christmas and New Year, which is best part of a month. So I am absolutely over the moon. Now the only issue is they're being very sneaky. They're not telling me what bike it is, only that there's a bike available and it's being dropped off for me today. So yeah, I'm kind of excited. I mean, I suppose for me, it doesn't really matter what it is. It could be a 50cc electric bike. It doesn't matter. I'm getting a bike for, well, to treat as my own for a month. But it doesn't matter what it is. I'll be honest, I don't care. So I'm kind of a bit excited. It's like, it is my Christmas. I'm going picking it up very shortly, but I just wanted to share it with you. I've got it for a month, so if you've got any ideas of what I should do with it, let me know in the comments. Of course, you're going to find out imminently what it is. I'm not going to find out until I go and pick it up. So yeah, stay with me for the journey. So MotoGP import a lot of different brands. So they've got Kiwi, Morbidelli, Benelli, Vosges, Royal Alloy, Lambrettas as well. There's Mondials. There's just a lot of bikes in the portfolio. So it could be any one of their models. So I think, thinking about it, if I had a choice, I'm desperate to get hold of the Morbidelli C1002V, the cruiser with the massive back wheel. I really want to go on one of those long term. That would be amazing. However, the weather, it's a bit cold, it's a bit hit and miss. So I think it's got to be something off-road or an adventure bike or something that's going to be perfect for these winter conditions. So I've got my fingers crossed that it's going to be something like that. But come with me, we'll find out together. It happened. So I asked for an adventure bike and it's exactly what they delivered. How nice does this look? So this is Benelli's TRK 502X. You can see just how massive this bike is when I stand behind it. But it's just a classic adventure bike. Nice big tall seat. Just an absolute weapon really. Let me take you around the bike. I'll show you what this looks like all the way around. We'll go over some specs. Start with the close-up. Now, I've never seen one in white before. I've seen all of the other colours. The grey tends to be quite a popular one, but I really do like it in white. I think it really does stand out a lot more than the other colours. Come round to that front beak. Nice. So let's talk safety. So this has got some really good brakes. 320mm semi-floating discs with 2 piston calipers at each side. Really good stopping power at the front. And at the rear, just a single disc, 260mm, and yeah, just a single piston as well. But the brakes on the initial ride I've had, very good. As you'd expect with Benelli, they give a lot of extras for your money. So it is on a side stand. It does also have the centre stand as well, should you wish to use that. Always better for chain maintenance. This is, of course, a chain drive. Crash protection. There's so many brands out there now, and I name the Japanese and the Germans, that anything like that would be an extra. Not with Vosges or Benelli though, so I like it. Anything thrown in is good. You've got the LED lights at the front as well, very bright. I've already done a night ride, I did that coming home, and yeah, illuminates the road really well. So the engine on this, it's a 500cc liquid cooled. It delivers 47.6 horsepower, so it's right in the middle, I think, these middleweight adventure bikes. However, I would never class it as a middleweight, just purely because of how heavy it is. It's quite a heavy beast to push around, I found that. But I do ride a lot of smaller capacity bikes that are half the weight. So I think might just be that I'm not used to these big weapons like this. Don't know. It is heavy though. Nice tall windscreen like that is always good for a bit of touring, especially if you're doing motorway journeys. I've not had the pleasure of a motorway journey yet, but I'm hoping to do that later today. Blue sky, so I might make the most of it with a little blast down the motorway. But I do like the setup of the screen. It seems to have like a little mini screen underneath the big screen, and you've even got the side protection as well, so yeah, should be good at higher speeds, but I'll confirm that on the motorway. One thing you'll see when I do the night ride is all of these buttons are backlit, so you've got a nice glow around each and every one of them, which is brilliant when you're riding in the dark. You can see all your buttons very, very clearly. You've got your horn indicators, high, low beam and flash. Then you've got this, I'm guessing that's something on the screen. Right hand side, engine start. You've got your hazard lights, engine cut off, and there's another one of these buttons. I'm guessing is going to be a menu button or something. We'll have a play in a bit when I turn the screen on. But I'm finding all this out for the first time, so yeah, you'll have to bear with me. It's like the owner experience of just trying to figure out how everything works on the bike. This one hasn't got the luggage with it. However, a lot of the Benellis do come with the aluminium side panniers and top box. I don't know if there's an offer on those at the minute, but I have seen quite a lot of offers where they throw it in for free, but I don't think there is that offer at the minute. If I'm wrong, I'll let you know. 20-litre fuel tank. That's a big old tank for touring. That's brilliant. That means you're going to get loads of miles out of that. Do love the X in comparison to just the standard TRK 502. With the X, you get the aluminium rims with iron spokes, and it's sporting a 19-inch front and a 17 at the rear. And decent tyres as well, front and back. It comes with the Metzler Torrance dual purpose tyres. I wouldn't fancy it on anything too slippy, but maybe a farm track or something. Might give that a go as well while I've got it. But I'm going to throw my leg over and you can see how I look on this. Now bear in mind, this is a tall bike. It says it's 840 millimeters, but it just seems taller than that to me. What I've found with this as well, because it is heavy, when it's on the side stand, it needs a bit of a heave-ho to get over. So yeah, again, it's helped if you've got longer legs. I don't. So as you can see, I'm like a ballet dancer sat on this. Very much like a ballet dancer. What I will share with you is I am losing weight at the moment, and I know weight will help bring this down a little bit, and I've lost quite a bit already. You probably can't tell too much, but I have, I can assure you. It doesn't feel too tall for me, but I am tiptoes, as you can see, same on both sides. The way I tend to do it is I will keep one on the pegs and I'll flat foot, or as close to flat footing. I find that's a bit more stable when you're stopping. But yeah, if you do try and get both down, it's a tiptoes job. It's a whopper. As I've found already from pushing this bike around, it's not light. As I've just said, just getting it straight when you're throwing your leg over it, it takes a little bit of work, because 213 kilograms is not a light bike. So bear that in mind if you are looking at getting something like this. If you are going to be pushing around a lot, it's a bit of a handful for that. I've certainly found it to be. I haven't done a lot of riding on this yet, so it's just been an initial impressions ride, and I'll show you a bit of that now. It's only fair that I start a riding video off leaving into Moto. Classic adventure bike in size and height, but it's comfortable. I'm in my happy upright position. It's just very, very tall. I'm not going to try any filtering straight away though. I want to get used to it because it is quite a wide bike, especially because of the engine protection that's on here. It does stick out actually. Looking at the engine protection down there, it does stick out. Probably as wide as the bars, if not slightly wider. So conscious of that for a bit of filtering. So this is my very, very first journey, and I wanted to share it with you because I know sometimes you can get on a motorcycle and instantly fall in love, or you can instantly have an issue. I wanted to share that experience with you, the first initial jump on and ride, as opposed to, yes, I've had it a couple of days and it's alright, because once you get used to a bike, you're more comfortable on it, aren't you? Whereas I found certain bikes I can jump on and instantly just feel at home, whereas this, my initial impression of it is that I am a bit nervous, is probably the best way to put it, because it is so tall. It is quite heavy for a smaller, or let's say a mid-size adventure bike. They are quite heavy. I find them to be heavier than the 702, which is the bigger engine. I've not had a proper chance to actually look around this bike yet and even see what the equipment levels are like. That is how fresh this bike is for me. And I have been on one of these before, but as I've previously said, it was a while ago. I think my last experience on one of these, it's got to be over 12 months ago. Probably more than that, to be fair. Right, I've got used to the size a little bit. Let's try a little bit of filtering. Traffic's moving slowly. I do have a general rule for filtering, because I've seen people very, very recently and they were riding like absolute mad people. If traffic's moving at 20 mile an hour, then I'll just move with 20 mile an hour with them. I don't see a point filtering for me as if traffic's not moving or if it's crawling and you can make progress. Do it like that. Because I want to get home after my ride, and I see some people ride and I just think, oh Jesus Christ, you're going to have an off at some point. If you're riding like your bike's stolen every time you take it out, at some point it's going to go horribly wrong for you. And as we know, on a bike you don't have the same luxury, you don't have the same protection as one of these cars. Oh, that's a tight squeeze. Yeah, you don't have the same luxury afforded to you. I'm rambling, but what I'm getting at is, guys, just look after yourselves when you're riding. Just be careful, don't put yourself at any unnecessary risk just so you can get home a minute earlier. Just be careful out there. Coming back to the bike, it's wet, it's rainy. This is kind of what everybody has come to know with a Gillybikes review. Kind of how a lot of my videos have been. In fact, no, I've had probably a good month or two where it's not been too bad actually, rain wise. However, today normal service has resumed. It can feel a little bit daunting sometimes if you feel like you're on a tiny bike. You think people can't see you. But then as soon as you're on something a little bit bigger, you feel more visible and more noticeable. Everyone can see you. So yeah, I kind of feel like that on this. You do feel like a bit of a big presence on the road, which is good. It's only my second bike that I've had as a long-term press bike, so I'm still getting used to it, and it is all very new to me, this. So I will try and give it the full test as though I'm an owner of this bike. That's my intention, really. So today is like the initial impressions view of the bike, a little look round of the bike. I will put a few videos out showing this bike, and the purpose of that is I want you all to share the experience of what ownership would be like with something like this. Now, it is the middle of December, so it's not the glorious summer sunshine. This is ultimately going to be the worst conditions for this bike that you could possibly ask for. Now, the beauty of that for you guys watching is that this is as bad as it's going to get weather-wise. And that's a good thing for you guys, because if you're looking for a bike that you want to go out and buy yourself, you want to go and buy an adventure bike, and this is the one of the bikes on your list, then let's see what it's like in the bad weather. Let's see what it's like in the awful rain. Let's see what it's like when it's really cold. Let's see what it's like in these poor conditions, because I've said many a time on videos, it's all well and good when you've got these YouTubers that are flown over to Spain or Italy or wherever it might be, and they're given a bike to go and play on for a couple of hours. I'm sure they're going to give it a very favourable review because they've got the perfect conditions for it. They've got lovely glorious sunshine, they've got lovely dry roads, they've got a free plane ticket, probably a free hotel for the night, and they won't want to upset the people that have laid it all on for them. They don't want to give a bad review, do they, for a company that's just paid for them to go to Spain or Italy, even if it's just for a day. They've still laid out a lot of money and put them in a very, very privileged position. I feel privileged being borrowed one of these in the UK in December, but they're at a whole new level. They're being flown to nice warm countries to do it. I'm sure they won't want to ruin that, because let's think about this logically for a minute. If a bike company has paved the way, they've paid for you to fly out to Italy, are you going to give a bad review? Are you going to? Because you might not be invited back for the next bike that they want to showcase. They might forget to invite you because the last time they invited you, you absolutely slated the bike. So why should they invite you to another one? That's got to be in their mind, doesn't it? It's got to be. Whereas I'm in a very fortunate position where the guys at MotoGP and Into Moto exactly the same have just openly said to me, tell us what you think of the bike. If it's good, tell us about why it's good. If it's bad, tell us about why it's bad. They're not putting me in a position where they're saying, we want you to give a good review, and if you don't give us a good review, we'll never ever give you another bike. They're not doing any of that, and that's where I think I'm very, very fortunate. Just have to pull over here because my hands are absolutely freezing. I have got my heated gloves on, but I forgot to switch them on. Yes, schoolboy error, I know, but it happens. It's raining, it's wet, and yeah, I was foolish and forgot to switch them on, but I've done it now. So anyway, getting back to this bike and the way I review. So MotoGP, in fact Into Moto, when I first went in there and they said to me, we're quite happy to let you take our bikes out. The only thing we ask is that you do it your way and you're honest. And I thought, that's all I ever wanted. I don't want to be ever in a position where somebody is telling me how I have to review a bike, and that's where I'm really happy with MotoGP and Into Moto. They want me to tell the truth about these bikes, and I've done it in the past. I've been on bikes that I've not liked for whatever reason, and I have shared the experience. Everybody has got their own opinion on bikes, don't they? So if I think something's bad, that doesn't necessarily mean that you will. The same as if I think something is amazing, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll think it's amazing. However, you know, I like the fact that I don't have any pressure put on me. That's basically my very long way of saying that, you know, I am asked to just be truthful. I am not asked to flower up a review to make a bike sound better. I'm not asked to cut out all the bad stuff and only talk about positives. I'm not asked to do any of that, and if I was, I wouldn't do it. I would like to think it doesn't shock people, because ultimately you've got to have integrity about your review. You've got to be honest, be truthful, and be happy. Is that a song? I don't know. So over the next couple of videos that I put out on this bike, I will be sharing my experience. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it somewhere in between? I'm gonna let you know, warts and all, basically. So yeah, and that's why I want you guys to stick with me for this little journey. If you want to see bikes good and the bad bits, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I've mentioned on previous videos, it really does help the channel if you do drop a comment, good or bad. I'm not getting into that again, but just to explain, you know, if you don't like a bike, drop a comment. I'm quite happy with it. I'd love to know why you don't like it. If you love a bike, drop a comment, because I want to know why you love the bike, because we all have different opinions and my opinion might be different to yours and vice versa. So yeah, just share your opinion. If the bike's good, I want to shout about it, and if it's bad, I want to shout about it as well. I want to share the experience, and I can only do that with your help. I know I keep mentioning the gloves, and I do, and everyone's got an opinion on heated kit. I've seen many a comment, and I appreciate every single one of them, regardless of your opinion on them. I do appreciate that you have an opinion on them. I know for me personally, with a ride like this now, my hands were getting painful. They were actually starting to hurt, and that's not fun for riding. When you get so cold, your fingers are going numb and then they start to hurt. I don't like that in the slightest, and that's what happened. And I pulled over, switched my gloves on, and I'm actually starting to feel the warmth. These warm up quite quickly, so it is actually a really good accessory. You need to have gloves anyway. Many people pay well in excess of £100 for a set of gloves. These are the equivalent of, what are they with the discount? Something like £86 UK money. £86, that is just a standard price for a pair of gloves. I would say it's probably an average to cheaper, and yet these have just warmed my hands up, stopped them from hurting to the point of I feel comfortable. I'm cold, my body's cold, but my hands are lovely. I've not spoke a lot about the bike. I've just been ranting about one thing or another. The bike is new. It's got little to no miles on. I'm going to try and get as many miles as I possibly can over the next month or so. I'm going to do long journeys, I'm going to do short journeys, I'm going to use it for work, I'll use it for ride outs. I'm going to use it as though it is my motorbike, and I'm going to use it as I would use my motorbike. So if there is any of my mates that fancy a little ride out somewhere, then yeah, this is the bike I'll be going on for the next month, to make sure that I can say at the end of my stint with this bike, I can give you the full on, was it good bits are, bad bits are, and everything in between. So yeah, that's what we want to do. And initial impressions of the bike is, it is a very, very tall beast of a thing. It's a very tall bike. I'm 5'8" with a 29-inch inseam. I mention it once or twice. Oh, I mention it on every bloody video I've done. So I am small, and this bike feels very much on the limit of what I'm comfortable with. I am tiptoes. Oh, look at, when it comes to knob heads like that. So I've done videos before, and there's always a knob head. There is always somebody like that that is going to pull out in front of you. Now, luckily on this occasion I saw them starting to creep out, and they just pulled out to the point of slowing me right down. And that's what you're gonna get with people like that. They are in their little square box and they believe that they're protected, and yeah, they are, compared to me who sat on this bike. KV17 FME, make you famous, you absolute knobhead. Pretty much coming to the end of my initial ride. I am absolutely soaked to the skin. The only thing on me that I can feel at the minute is my hands, and that's because the heated gloves have kept me warm. But as far as the bike's initial ride goes, yeah, it's been a delight. It's a comfortable bike to ride. I love the fact that it's got these backlit buttons. That's something that you normally expect on a more premium bike, a more expensive bike. So I do like that you've got it on a bike that you've got to consider to be a budget bike, because this is a cheap motorcycle. It was just literally a ride back from picking it up, and it got quite dark, so I've already hit the criteria of testing it out for an evening ride. Now, I'm not going to harp on about my heated gloves. However, this doesn't come with heated grips, doesn't come with anything like that, which for me I'm a bit gutted by, because certainly with the Vosges at the minute, the bikes that they're throwing out, they're coming with heated grips, heated seats, everything. This doesn't. However, it does come with the knuckle guards. And one brilliant thing for these is when it is cold, you're not getting the cold air all over your hands when you're riding at speed. So because I've got the heated gloves, it makes it perfect really for riding. Yes, the heated grips are a bonus if you can get them, but if you've not, yeah, look, make do with the gloves, because you've got these to block all that cold wind. You've also got USB port there as well. I like that because it's nice and accessible. I've seen a few recently, and you've got to go on a proper like seeking mission to try and find the USB port. That is nice right there, really handy for your bars. So if you are putting a quad lock on, if you're putting a sat nav on, if you're putting anything really that requires power, you've got it. Very, very handy. I am very lucky that I've got this bike now for a couple of weeks. Now, I know it's not the ideal month for riding. December is always bloody freezing. Today is freezing, no question about that. It looks lovely, blue sky, but it's really cold. But I am going to try and get as much done as I possibly can with this bike. I do want to take it on a bit of a motorway journey. I want to take it on a decent long ride as well, because I want to see what sort of pain I'm going to be in after a long ride, or any, because my initial ride is it's got a lovely wide comfortable seat. It does feel like a bike that could do long journeys and high miles, but we'll see. I want to test it out. I want to put it through its paces. I want to try a long journey. I want to try a little bit of off-roading as well. It won't be anything extreme, maybe a little farm track, maybe a little gravel track or something, but that's what these adventure bikes are for. They need to be tested, and I'm going to do that. And luckily, because I've got it for weeks, I can do it all. So if you want to see how it goes, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, if you've got one of these, if you're thinking about one of these, by all means drop me a comment. If there's anything I've missed, I've got it for weeks, so drop me a comment of something you want an answer to. If I don't know the answer to it, I'll find out. I'm looking forward to it, so make sure you join me. For now, that's going to do me. So yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Laters.